congratulations to this year's graduates. So as Seamus mentioned there, my name is Sinead Wheatley. I've been with Kuehne now for almost 6 years. Within those 6 years, I have had 3 different roles, and as Seamus mentioned, my current role is as an operational key account manager on site with our largest multimodal pharmaceutical customer. So I suppose a bit about my background and how I developed a career in logistics at such a young age. Growing up, I always wanted to be a secondary school teacher. So I finished school in 2011. I got a good leaving cert, and I got a good leaving cert, and I was accepted into IIFA Newt. So the aim was to study geography, business, and Spanish, but ultimately the goal was to be a geography and Spanish teacher. So I attended IIFA Newt for a year, but I struggled to settle. Part-time jobs were hard to combine. Ultimately, I wasn't really happy. So a family friend then approached me and said, Sinead, Kuehne, they're starting an apprenticeship program. So the aim of the apprenticeship program, as he explained to me, really was to invest in young people who hadn't got knowledge in the industry. So at that stage, I hadn't got a part-time job. I wasn't happy in college, so I decided, what had I got to lose? So as it turns out, I either wouldn't give a good interview, or perhaps it was my thoughts on road freight that done it for me. When I was asked, they asked me a question, and I'll never forget, and they still slag me about it to this day. They said to me, Sinead, if you were successful, what mode would you like to work in? And I said to them, air or sea, loading pallets on the back of a truck and the driving from A to B just really isn't that exciting for me. So they still, to this day, slag me about it. But so obviously I was successful, and I started in Nagel in February 2013 in sea freight exports. I started in short sea, later progressed into deep sea. And part of the program, the apprenticeship program, was I had weekly check-ins with my manager. I had a mentor who I could go to, who could give me advice, who could give me guidance. But also as part of that, and as Seamus knows, the FIATA Diploma was a big part of that. So being solely sea freight exports, as me and Seamus have talked about, the FIATA Diploma really opened my eyes to, there's more out there outside of the sea freight bubble. There's air freight, there's road freight, there's all of this. And, it kind of really gave me a real appreciation for that, and I could tie it all together. But the reality is, in doing the FIATA Diploma, it really kind of gave me a lot of food for thought. And, looking back, it really aided me to get to where I am now. I became more inquisitive, I started to question things. I kind of got involved in additional projects, and I began to understand the bigger picture of how it all ties together. And with that eagerness and that want to learn, this was then recognised by my manager, who at the time, and still to this day, provides a huge amount of support and guidance to me, which I'll be forever grateful for. So I was in sea freight exports for a couple of years, and then when the opportunity arose to be an operational implant with our biggest deep sea customer, I jumped at it. Who wouldn't? And why did I jump at it? Because I think one of the key learnings I took from the FIATA Diploma was that, great things only happen when you step outside your comfort zone. Would I have done the FIATA Diploma had I not been sent on it by Kuehne? I hate to say, Seamus, but the likelihood is probably not. I probably wouldn't, but then I look back, and similar to Gabby, it brought me on a journey, and I wouldn't have come to this conclusion had I have not sat and reflected and stuff like that. So, I could have happily stayed in the confines of Kuehne, sitting there doing my job, sending my sea freight shipments, but I knew that if I took this opportunity, the value and the insight I would get from working on site with a customer would stand to me for the rest of my career. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here is that things don't just happen for you. It takes time, it takes bravery, it takes a lot of tenacity and persistence. But ultimately, for me, it was my hunger to always be learning and developing that got me to where I am today. Was it easy? Absolutely not. It was that first year on site with that customer was one of the difficulties of my career today. It brought so many challenges, but for me, I learned a huge amount about myself, about my own capabilities. I couldn't hide behind the phone, I couldn't hide behind an email. I was there as the face of Kuehne to the customer. And it was such a huge responsibility, but one, again, that I revelled in. And, for that first year, I learned something new every day. I became more aware of the impact of my role for the customer. The part that it played in their supply chain, You know, and that ultimately kind of changed how I worked, the way I worked, how I interacted, and really it changed my thought process. So, I mean, I'm the type of person, I get such a buzz out of providing solutions, coming up with alternatives, and you know, that year, as I said, it was such a challenging year, but at the end of it, we have an internal recognition system, and out of that, I was actually awarded the Overall Employee of the Year out of a staff of 325 at the age of 20, so that was a massive achievement and a great thing to come to at the end of that year. So then following on from that then, I was put on a High Achievers program, which is basically, it's to develop high performers and get them ready for that next step. And that's exactly actually what happened for me. So I had been dealing with this particular customer for, at this stage, 4 years in my 5-year career, 2 of them on site, and I kind of learned everything that I could possibly learn within the realm that I was in. I got itchy feet, I got bored, and ultimately really I needed to be challenged. So again, I let it be known internally to anyone who would listen to me on board. Can you take me out? Can you give me something new? So I let it be known, and then, you know, one day I was approached then for the current role that I'm in, and I was, you know, Sinead, we have this role and operational key account manager, and it's this customer, and you know, initially I was hesitant because it was air freight, it was road freight, it was customs, and it was pharma, and I didn't know that, but the FIATA Diploma gave me a bit of an insight. And I remember one day sitting down with the MD of our company, and she turned around to me, and we were talking about my career and stuff like that, and she turned around to me and she said, we were back and forth, and she said, Sinead, you know, she said, the way I look at it is, she said, sometimes you have to do things in your career that you don't like to do to ultimately get to where you want to be. And it floored me because, you know, sometimes we do have to do things that we don't want to do, but the end goal is always worth it. So that really gave me food for thought, because I had got so comfortable in my current role that the thought of stepping outside of that to do something new just really frightened me. But you know, if I bring it back to the FIATA Diploma, did I want to do it again? Probably not. But truthfully, like I did. I had reservations about studying and, you know, doing a full-time job. But if I look at the outputs from it and I sit and reflect, as Gabby had said, you know, it made me realise that you can further your education outside of the traditional routes. And you know, FIATA was one of those for me. And in the role that I'm in now, customs is a big part of it, and that's something that I'm looking to go back and study in college. So without that push to study while working full time, I probably wouldn't be in that mindset to do that. So you know, it's one of those things that, as I mentioned, I've always wanted to learn. I've never wanted to stop. I always am looking to grow and expand my knowledge, and for me, I hope that never changes. So congratulations to anybody who's graduating today. I hope you can take something from my story in terms of learning and moving forward, and congratulations on 10 years.